Hello and welcome to Glasgow Rangers Nation with me, your host Owen James, the channel that brings you your team every single day. Guys, we're going to talk takeover latest. We've got some updates on the takeover. We've also got some updates about what this takeover may involve for the two clubs, for Leeds United and for Rangers, as two of British football's giants link up. And we're also going to talk a little bit of some sort of rumours that are coming out of the SFA as regards Vaslav Cerny. Reports that he is set to be made an example of by the SFA for his actions at the weekend, which are absolutely ludicrous. Not the actions, the fact that the SFA may make an example of him. Anyway, let's start off by talking about the takeover. So look, this takeover that is in the pipeline is obviously ongoing. I think, every Rangers fan, or I think 99% of Rangers fans, are exceptionally optimistic for the future because of the involvement of the 49ers enterprises under Parag Marathe and, of course, Andrew Kavanagh, the health insurance tycoon from America. Both obviously, anxious to get the deal done and get their 51% stake in Rangers. This would present obviously a fantastic new opportunity for the club to move forward under new owners, under owners that will know, I think, what they're doing, under owners that are football people, or sports people that understand sports, understand how sports works, understand how to access revenue streams, understand how to increase sponsorship, how to get things done, rather than the bunch of absolute incompetence that we have in charge at this moment in time, including the absolute disgusting disgrace of a Park family that are involved with this club. Like I said, the present board, I mean, I had someone comment yesterday on a video saying the heroics of the present board. I mean, I almost died laughing at that comment. The present board are not heroic. The present board are an absolute shambles, an absolute disgrace, and not fit to be part of our football club. And the sooner they are gone from our football club, the better. And I hope that they're never allowed back into Ibrox Stadium. The new owners obviously will look at taking this club forward, moving the club forward into the 21st century, something that I don't think the present board have done. Now, according to reports in a number of media sources today, the 49ers have moved to the next stage of takeover, filing the papers for the takeover. Now, obviously, this comes on the back of all the mischief making and rumor mongering that was going around earlier, saying that the other side of the city were absolutely loving, and obviously had made social media posts about and had made memes about, saying that the takeover was going to collapse due to the obviously the EFL rules that clubs can't own more than one football club in Britain. Obviously, that rule doesn't apply once a team's in the Premier League, which Leeds are in pole position to do, but a rule that will be changed in amongst the EFL clubs in June anyway. Also, the fact that Andrew Kavanagh is involved in the deal means that Leeds United or the 49ers enterprises, in effect, will not own two clubs. So we can forget that one. We can stop worrying about that. We can move on from that. We can kind of put that to one side. So good news, obviously, that the situation is very much in hand, that the deal is moving forward, and no foreseen complications are in place. Now, we believe from what is being reported today that the deal should be done by the end of May, start of June, with these papers now being filed. Takeovers are not easy businesses. They obviously are difficult. You've got to obviously get agreement amongst the shareholders of the company you're taking over, which with Rangers is exceptionally complicated given the complicated ownership structure with a number of people owning shares in the company. If you look at the percentage that many of the shareholders have, like Dave King, 13%, I think Douglas Park's got 11%. I mean, let's face it, Graham Park's probably eating about 3% of that, but you know what I mean. Anyway, so look, it's a difficult, complicated one that they've got to put together. Once all that's put together, they then obviously got to agree an amount. They've then got to file paperwork. They've got to complete paperwork. They've got to complete money. It's a very complicated process, but it is going forward. It is moving apace, and like I said, it should be done by the end of May, beginning of June. Now, there is an anxiousness within 49ers enterprises and obviously with Andrew Kavanagh as well, that with Champions League qualifiers and with the new season obviously coming up fairly rapidly after the season closes down in May, June time, that they will need to obviously start to look at building the club back up, starting with obviously an appointment of a new manager and purchasing of new playing staff. Obviously, players are out of contract at the end of this season and will be moving on. People like Tom Lawrence, for example. And there is a number of gaping holes in this squad. Now, look, as we discussed on the Q&A last night, if you didn't catch that, obviously go back and check it out, where the show was controlled by the people, the fans watching the show. It was not controlled by me. They controlled it with their comments and their questions. One of the things was about, the squad. Did I think the present squad were as bad as people make out? And I think, you look at the present squad and to be honest with you, it isn't as bad as people make it out to be. There are a number of very talented players on this squad. And I think a lot of the underperformance that we saw previous to now was not down to the players, but was down to the manager. It was down to poor coaching, poor organisation, poor tactical awareness, just poor organisation all round. I think, if you look at the present Rangers team under Barry Ferguson, there is an organisation, there is a purpose, there is a style, a shape to the team. The players seem to look like they know what they're doing now. They don't seem to be a team of individuals who are waiting for somebody to do something remarkable so that they can go on and win the game. It now very much seems more like a team effort, like the players actually are playing to a plan and are progressing, and that is something that obviously that is very positive. So, like I said, you've only got to look obviously at the Europa League and look at how we progressed in that. In Fenerbahce, there was a clear plan. There was a clear organisation. There was a clear way of playing. So the players and playing squad are not that bad. There are some good players within that squad. The likes of Vaslav Cerny, who obviously the hope will be that we can sign him on a permanent basis. Hamza Igaman, obviously, who scored the winning goal at the weekend. Nicholas Raskan, who is, I think, probably the best midfielder in Scotland right now, and certainly the best Belgian midfielder in Scotland right now. But I'd put him up there and over and above even Callum McGregor. At this moment in time, the guy is really, really good. Not just him, but you've got other players like Mo Diamande, who's really coming into his own as well, and he's looking quality, and I think he's improving under Barry Ferguson as well. John Suter, another player who looks absolutely first class. Ridvan Yilmaz, Jack Butland. There is a lot of talent within this squad. Dujon Sterling as well, another very talented player. Connor Barron. So there are substantially talented players within this squad, and I think, to be honest with you, it's going to take just some kind of improvements to the squad to kind of move this squad forward. As we did on the summer clear out video the other day, I think a couple of centre backs brought in, a right back. I think centre forward is definitely a position we do need to address. Hamza is good, but still learning the game. Dessers is an enigma and consistently inconsistent. So, I think the situation very much is that we do need to move that forward. We do need a few players. Now, the 49ers have apparently committed to putting into place a decent budget so that the new players can be purchased. Now, obviously, they know that they've got to stay within PSR rules, which detail that you can only spend up to 82% of your revenue, which obviously at this moment in time is not great because of the fact that, we don't take in as much money in TV deals as Leeds do or as any Premier League club do. We don't take as much in sponsorship at the moment due to the board being unable to organise a Pisapina Brewery. We're not part of the Champions League, which obviously would enable us to take in more money. So, look, the situation is that as we develop and as we get better, and hopefully we qualify for the Champions League, hopefully sponsorship revenue increases, it will increase the revenue in the club, which will mean we can spend more money on players because, as I said, the rules dictate that you can spend 82% of the revenue coming into your club on players and player wages, player sales. So, look, that is the way forward. Like I said, the Niners have committed to putting a substantial fund together for players to be bought this summer, thought to be somewhere in the region of 20 to 25 million pounds, which obviously, would certainly give us a good starter. And like I said, I don't think the surgery is massively major needed on this squad. I think it is, 4 or 5 players coming in will make a difference in this next window. Appointment of a new manager, obviously, as well, may cost if that manager is under contract somewhere else. But I think these are all plans that are very much in place between the 49ers enterprises, Andrew Kavanagh and Rangers. Now, moving forward, it's felt that the 49ers very much want to kind of start to organise these football clubs that they are purchasing, obviously Leeds, and Rangers, very much on the kind of City Group model, so that the clubs start to work a bit more closely together. Now, this could be beneficial for the young players and obviously beneficial for the two clubs. So, in terms of academies, we've had a sort of informal link up with Red Bull over the years, but this will be a more familiar sort of link up where, players from our academy can go down to Leeds Academy, players from Leeds Academy come up to Rangers Academy, get a different experience of things. Obviously not on a permanent basis, just on a sort of temporary basis to kind of, work between the two clubs to learn. It's also felt as well that Rangers could benefit from taking players on loan from Leeds United, who will become a Premier League club. Leeds are famous for producing good young talent. You've only got to look at, obviously, Archie Gray, for example, Finley Gorman, players who've come through their academy in recent years who have been exceptionally talented. And it's felt that, that taking players on loan from the English Championship, English Premier League would benefit Rangers, because obviously the level of competition is that bit higher in the Championship and in the EPL than it is in the Scottish Premier League. So it's felt very much that there will be a link up between the two clubs on that element, and it will be, the coaches working together, the players working together, and helping each other to obviously develop and improve. With obviously, I suppose the dream one day of having a Leeds United Rangers Champions League final obviously would be the big dream for the 49ers. So, look, that's where we're up to. And I think, we've got to be optimistic that this takeover is the beginning of something special. It is the beginning of a new start, a new dawn for this club, and a chance for us to really, I think, get back to where we belong, back at the top of the Scottish game. And we could see, I think, over the next sort of few months, years, a real shift in balance between the power balance in Scotland, that it then goes back from the east side of the city back to Rangers. And I think that obviously will be welcomed by all Rangers fans, and I think the majority of reasonable football fans too. So look, good news, good positive news as regards that takeover. Now, let's move it along a little bit. Let's talk about this man here, Vaslav Cerny. Look, I love Vaslav Cerny. I think he's a very talented player. I think he's got his downsides at times. Obviously, he does hold on to the ball too long. He could do with learning to pass a bit sooner, perhaps shoot a bit sooner. I mean, go back to the Old Firm game on Sunday. He has that chance where Schmeichel basically passes to him. If he controls and shoots, he probably scores. But instead, he overplays. So look, I mean, but he's still a very, very talented player. However, due to that incident of the water squirting, he is obviously under investigation, not only by the police, but also by the authorities. A number of Celtic fans obviously made complaints as regards this behaviour. So now, look, you look at the incident, and realistically, it is an incident that has been blown out of absolutely all proportion. The squirting of a bit of water onto some fans, is not a major problem. And I think the Celtic fans that are going on about it being assault or attempted murder or whatever, are an absolute bunch of morons. They really genuinely are, but they are Celtic fans, I suppose. The incident is nowhere near as serious as them, and rather shamedly, that tin pot pathetic club Celtic are making it out to be. However, according to rumours and reports this morning, the SFA are apparently considering making an example of Vaslav Cerny to stop any incident like this happening in the future. They will apparently use the excuse that this was a derby game, the tensions were high, and it could have led to more serious incidents to punish Cerny. There's talk of Cerny getting a multi-game ban and fine for what he did. I've seen as much as 6 to 8 game ban for this, which in my opinion would be absolutely ridiculous. And actually, I don't think this happens. Had he been a Celtic player, I don't think the SFA do a thing about it because of the fact that there is a natural biasness towards them. I think the reason that there is such a serious kind of look at it being taken by the SFA is because it's Celtic, because they are kicking off, because they are complaining. That's why more action will be taken. And I think it's absolutely pathetic of Celtic, pathetic of the SFA. And I think, if it is a situation where Cerny does receive a multi-game ban, then Rangers need to appeal it. They need to take it not only, I think, back to the SFA, but if the SFA continue to say that this is a punishment that will stand, then Rangers need to go, I think, higher than them, go to UEFA, go to the Court of Arbitration for Sport, take this all the way, and actually start to kick up more of a stink over the completely dreadful running of the Scottish game and the complete biasness towards one team over another, which there is in this competition. We know there is, and it can be denied all at once. And look, you won't get Rangers Review or anyone else saying this. They're not going to call out the SFA. They're way too soft to do that. At the end of the day, the SFA are a joke. They are an absolute joke. And if it is that they go on to ban Cerny for multiple games, this needs to be looked at, and Rangers need to kick up as much of a stink about it as possible and really kick back against it, because it is wholly unacceptable. That this incident, like I said, has been blown out of all proportion. And because it's Celtic, this is why it's been taken. This is why it's happening. Now, if it was Aberdeen fans, if it was Aberdeen kicking off, or Dundee kicking off, or Dundee United kicking off, or St Mirren fans kicking off, or St Mirren the club kicking off, I guarantee you it would not be taken as seriously. Of course it wouldn't. But because it's Celtic, oh my God, we can't have Celtic upset, can we? And that seems to be the attitude. And personally, I'm absolutely fed up of it, pissed off with it, and fed up of that bunch of absolute deviants across our city thinking they run Scottish football. And action needs to be taken, and it needs to be taken today, and the club needs to stand up to them and say, no, we will not tolerate this anymore. We will not tolerate you trying to bully the rest of the Scottish game and bully everyone else into what you want. You're a disgrace, and we're going to stand up to you, and it's time to fight back against them. That's just my personal opinion. You may disagree with that. You may not like that. I don't care. At the end of the day, Celtic have been allowed to get away with it for far too long now, and something needs to be done about it. They're turning the Scottish game into an absolute laughingstock across Europe. The fact that we're called a tin pot league, a farmers league, and their behaviour certainly doesn't help this. And their fans are too stupid to realise the way they behave, the way they act, their attitudes are making, English clubs, English fans, European clubs, European fans look at our league like it's some sort of joke because of them. And action needs to be taken, and it needs to be taken now. Guys, let me know what you think in the comments down below. Thank you for watching Glasgow Rangers Nation, guys. As always, please, on the way out, if you can like, comment, and subscribe, and obviously share the video, that would be most helpful. Thank you. And remember always, we are the people.